Hey, what's up, guys? Today I want to talk to you about what it's like being a highly sensitive person. And what is a highly sensitive person? What does it mean? When I first heard the term years ago, I remember thinking, a highly sensitive person, someone who's just too sensitive, right? Well, no, it's not what it means. It just means you have a high sensory input. Let's talk about it. So I'm gonna actually pull up some things here online to help me define it for you guys rather than just using my own terms. Here on this website at verywellmind.com, it says a highly sensitive person is a neurodivergent individual who is thought to have an increased or deeper central nervous system sensitivity to physical, emotional, or social stimuli. Some refer to this as having sensory processing sensitivity, or SPS for short. Okay, so in other words, a person who is a little more sensitive than normal to stimuli. Okay, now I want to expound on that a little more, but let's take a look here at some more. Here on Psychology Today, they're saying that this term was coined by Elaine Aron. I don't know if I said Aaron right. Aaron, whatever. I probably pronounced it wrong. According to Aron's theory, HSPs are a subset of the population who are high in a personality trait known as sensory processing sensitivity, or SPS. Those with high levels of SPS display increased emotional sensitivity, stronger reactivity to both external and internal stimuli, pain, hunger, light, and noise, and a complex inner life. Now, here's another website, Medical News Today. They're talking a little bit about there's more to being a highly sensitive person than just being sensitive to stimuli. Other characteristics include processing environmental stimuli more deeply, being more emotionally reactive to behavioral inhibition, being more psychologically reactive to behavioral inhibition, having stronger unconscious nervous system activity in stressful situations, having stronger emotional responses, both positive and negative. You guys, I can't even begin to tell you how much I relate to all of these. So much. Being strongly perceptive of subtle differences, absolutely. Having a low tolerance to high levels of sensory input. Having a low pain threshold. That's the only one that I actually have a pretty high pain threshold, and I have stories to expound on that, but I won't go into that in this video. So we can see here, a highly sensitive person is an interesting thing. Okay, back on verywellmind.com, high sensitivity applies across a few different categories. There are several traits or characteristics common to HSPs. These traits, so we have like being deeply moved by beauty. Okay, so like looking at the sunset, being deeply moved by that. Being overwhelmed by sensory stimuli, noisy crowds, bright lights, or uncomfortable clothing. Oh my gosh. I have to wear shirts that are like soft. I wear sweatpants most of the time, or sweat shorts during the summer. I can wear some jeans, specifically American Eagle jeans are the best, and usually skinny jeans. And I hate saying that because it's wearing skinny jeans can be kind of silly, but they're the only thing that like fit, that don't drive me absolutely nuts. When I wear jeans that don't fit properly and they're not soft enough or stretchy, I can't even wear them. It drives me absolutely bonkers. I don't know how people can stand it. Feeling a need for downtime. Oh my gosh. Yes. So much. Having a rich, complex inner life, complete with deep thoughts and strong feelings that go with them. This is why I'm so into the law of attraction and energy and how everything works, because I feel things on a very deep level. And I'm sure many of you do as well if you're watching this video and can relate to what I'm talking about. So we can kind of see what an HSP is, what that looks like. Now, let's talk about what it's like being a person that has highly sensitivity, or, whatever, high sensitivity. So what's really interesting is I remember my first memories are my brother and I, we could recognize when somebody pulled up outside in a car while we were in the house, because we could literally feel the vibration of the car approaching the house. And we go, oh, somebody's here. And everyone else would be like, What are you talking about? I'm like, a car just pulled up. They're like, how did you know a car pulled up? It's like you can hear it because you can pick up the vibration of the car. I don't know if many of you guys can relate to that, but I noticed other people when I would show them, like, sometimes they'd be like, oh, wow, yeah, you can notice. But some people couldn't notice. I'm like, yeah, you can feel the vibration of the car pulling up to the house. We'd know somebody pulled up. So that was always really interesting. I thought it was interesting that some people couldn't notice that. Another time that was, this is where it gets really tricky, being a person who is highly sensitive, is feeling other people's moods and emotions. So I remember one time specifically, I was at my parents' house. I was living there at the time. This is a number of years ago. I was in my early 20s. And I remember my mom was in the kitchen, and for some reason something was bothering her. Bless my mom, love her to death. But something was bothering her. And I was walking by, and as I came out into the main part of the house, I was able to feel her mood. I was able to feel her emotion. She was at the kitchen sink, cleaning the kitchen, doing dishes. And I was walking by, so here was like our counter. She was in here, and I was walking by over here, and she was just doing the dishes. Didn't say a word to me. And I'm walking, and I stopped because I just couldn't do it that day. I couldn't deal with any negative energy. And I remember being like, Mom, I stopped. I'm like, I don't know what you have going on right now, but you need to chill. You need to relax because your energy is palpable right now. I can feel it so strong. And she just looked at me like, what? And I was like, I can feel you're struggling with something, which I understand. And I'm sorry that you're struggling with something, but I can't do it today. And she was just like, what is happening right now? Like, how did you know I'm struggling with something? Like, I can just feel it. I can feel that you're struggling with something. And so we talked about it and, helped her work through it. But I'll never forget how that happened. And I could feel it without even exchanging words with her. I just walked by and I could feel it. So if you're a highly sensitive person, you can probably relate. And the thing is, the most important is to recognize energy does not lie. When you feel someone else's energy, it's real. And they may say, oh no, I'm in a good mood. But when you can feel their energy, you know if they're lying or not. So it can be a strength because you're able to use that to really understand a situation more and understand what's going on and maybe put yourself in healthier situations if things are not looking good or whatever. Okay. So another time, this is very interesting. This was, I was also living at my parents', but a different house. This goes back to when I was probably like 18 years old, 19 years old. I'm 39 now, so it's been a minute. But I remember I was playing this video game online with a friend of mine. Yes, clear back then, okay? We still had online back then. And I was playing this game called StarCraft. And we played on BattleNet. It was their online platform. And you could only type to talk to each other. We didn't have microphones back then to talk to each other. So we had to type. And I played with this guy pretty frequently. If I recall, he lived in California. I'm up here in Idaho. But we became pretty good friends on this game. And we played regularly. Well, one day when I was playing with him, everything was just like normal. I could feel something was off. Keep in mind, we're in different states. And I'm just typing with this guy. I'm not even talking to him. But I could tell something was off. His energy, I could feel it. And so after a while, I'm like, hey, bro, you doing okay? And he's like, yeah. Like, yeah. I'm like, all right, man, your energy just seems off. And he's like, okay, well, whatever. And then I thought, he's like, everything's fine. I'm like, okay, whatever. Maybe it's just me. And so we kept playing. And I'm like, no, dude, no. So I kept bugging him. I'm like, bro, what's going on? You need to open up and talk to me because I can tell something's off. And after a while, he finally broke down and was like, what the freak? Who are you? How do you know I'm struggling right now? And he's like, yes, I am struggling. And he spilled the beans and told me everything going on. And I remember, hopefully it helped him. It's been so long. But I remember we talked through it and we played, games the rest of the night and whatnot. But I could feel his energy being in a completely different state. And we were just typing. That's it. And nothing else was different. He was typing like normal. I don't know how it would be any different. Anyways, you're able to feel other people's moods, their emotions. Very sensitive to these types of energies. And when someone's happy, oh my gosh, it feels so good. When someone's really not happy, it can be a real struggle if you're a highly sensitive person. But this is real stuff. This is not, hocus pocus. So energy is real. Your emotions are real, and they speak louder than words, which is also what the law of attraction responds to. But that's another video, right? So anyways, I wanted to share those two stories just to give you an idea. And if you're a highly sensitive person, you can probably relate and understand. Listen to your inner voice when you're feeling those energies, because energy does not lie. Listen to that. Use it as a strength. Another thing that they talk about is how large crowds or a lot of sound can be really difficult. And for me, this has absolutely been the case. And in the past, so I was actually diagnosed ADHD, which is a neurodivergent trait, but I've mostly overcome that completely because I've learned how to meditate and harness my energy. But what would happen in the past when I would get in large crowds, and I actually still have to be very consciously aware of this today, because this will still come out of me if I'm not careful. If I'm in a large crowd, there's a lot of noise, a lot of stuff going on, what would happen is, especially, in the past, I would elevate myself, my energy. I would get incredibly high energy. ADHD traits would start to come out. I would get very hyperactive and interacting with all of this energy, trying to not manage it all, but deal with it all. And being super hyperactive and letting super hyperactivity come out of me would allow me to be able to get above of all the energies that were going on everywhere and deal with it all. The problem is it's incredibly exhausting. It is so exhausting. It will leave you wrecked for days. If you go to a social gathering and you have to come out of this shell where you have to deal with it in this hyperactive way, it will leave you exhausted because you're managing so much different energies coming at you. I'm sure you can relate to this if you've ever been in this situation, if you're a highly sensitive person or have had an ADHD diagnosis. So that can be very tricky to handle. And the thing to do is to learn how to go within, feel the energy of everything going on around you, and manage them one at a time. But even that can still be draining. This is why I can only handle large crowds or parties or big environments on minimal basis. It can be a lot of fun though too. Like, I want to have the social interaction, but you have to be very careful and deliberate going into those situations because there's so much noise and so much chaos, so many energies bouncing everywhere and you can feel every single one of them. So to learn how to turn off a bunch of them so that you can focus and harness your energy to be able to navigate through that can be a lot of work, and it takes a lot of training for yourself to really learn how to effectively do that. But it's difficult because you want to have social times when you're social and being part of environments like that. But you have to be careful, because if you're not careful, you can be left exhausted for days. And we need downtime. Absolutely need downtime. So very interesting how noise, sounds, everything is just overly sensitive. But you can get to where you can use your sensitivity to navigate situations in life appropriately. You can use it to, if you're going into a situation, you can go, something about this situation feels off. I shouldn't be here. You can do it while you're driving a car. You can be like, for some reason I feel like something's not right about what's going on this path that I'm on. I'm going to change course. You can use it to navigate energies through life to avoid situations that could be potentially harmful. It takes really paying attention and learning how to listen to your intuition, but it can be such a strength as well. So instead of thinking it as a negative or a bad thing, use it. Just be sure you get your downtime to recover, to be the introvert that you need to be to rest and recover. But also when you're out and about, use it to your advantage and meditate, and really pay attention to the energies around you. But you must learn to understand the difference between fear and ego and the lower self and the higher self, to really actually recognize what the energy is actually saying rather than what the ego might be telling you. But I hope that this is advantageous for you guys, just bringing this up and speaking about it, because it really is a big deal to me, and learning how to navigate this. It says about 20% of people have high sensitivity. So at least 20% of the population can relate to this video. And I know it can be a struggle if you don't have a keen awareness of what's going on. So be aware of your sensitivity, recognize it as a strength, and learn how to utilize it and balance yourself to give yourself healthy environments. But use it as a tool. Use it as an advantage. Use it to your advantage, because it truly can be advantageous in a lot of situations. Anyways, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on future helpful content. See you guys in the next episode. Peace.